Harlan Finch had two great joys in his suburban Detroit life: his restored 1972 Chevy C-10 pickup, Old Green, and the quiet sanctuary of his oversized, two-car garage. For Harlan, a licensed electrician with a side gig in custom woodworking, the garage wasn't just storage, it was his workshop, his man cave, and the keeper of his projects. He'd paid a premium for this corner lot house in Pine Grove Estates specifically for that garage. The third joy, a recent addition, was his new neighbor, Monica Carlisle. Monica was the human embodiment of the HOA bylaws. Within a week of moving in, she'd cited him for an unapproved mailbox flag. It was a Detroit Lions pennant, excessive mulch darkness in his flower beds, and the potential eyesore of Old Green, which he kept polished and pristine under a custom-fit cover in his driveway. The bylaws, Mr. Finch, she'd say, her voice a syrup of condescension, clearly state that vehicles must be garaged overnight to maintain community aesthetics. That truck violates our curb appeal standards. My garage is full, Monica, Harlan would reply, his patience thinning. With my tools and my work. The bylaws don't say I can't use my garage. It came to a head on a crisp October Tuesday. Harlan returned from a big job to find Monica's massive, chrome-laden Ford Super Duty dually pickup parked squarely in the center of his open garage door. Next to it, crammed in the other bay, was her husband's rarely used Porsche Cayenne. His own garage was now a parking lot for the Carlisles. His tools were pushed haphazardly against the back wall. A half-finished walnut dining table was now inaccessible. Monica was in her own driveway, pretending to water already sodden petunias. "Afternoon, Monica," Harlan said, keeping his voice flat. "You seem to have mistaken my garage for yours." "Oh, Harlan," she chirped, not looking up. "We had some guests over, and our driveway was full. The bylaws do say all vehicles must be off the street by 6 p.m. We're just being compliant. And honestly, this is a good opportunity for you to finally clean out this hoarder situation. You can just work around them for a day or two." Harlan saw the glint in her eye. This wasn't about parking. This was a power play, a territorial annexation. She was forcing him to either confront her directly, which she'd spin as aggression, or tacitly accept her dominion over his property. He smiled, a slow, easy smile. "No problem at all, Monica. You have a good evening." Her smile faltered, confused by his calm. Harlan didn't sleep. He planned. He reviewed the Pine Grove Estates covenants, conditions, and restrictions CC&RS he'd largely ignored. He studied Michigan property law. By sunrise, he had a blueprint for action. First, he went to a heavy-duty hardware store. He purchased 2 industrial-strength, shrouded shackle padlocks, rated for 15,000 pounds of tensile strength. Then, to a specialty automotive shop, where he bought 4 premium wheel clamps, the bright yellow, steel-jawed kind used by parking enforcement. Next, he visited his friend Diego, a notary public. He had Diego notarize a simple, clearly worded notice, notice of trespass and impound. The vehicles herein described, Ford F-350, MI plate Karen 1, Porsche Cayenne, MI plate Carlsel, are unlawfully parked on private property located at Harlan's address. The owner of said property has not granted permission for this use. As of date and time, these vehicles are considered trespassing and are being secured at the vehicle owner's expense and risk. For retrieval, contact the property owner to arrange payment of accrued fees and to schedule release. He made 3 copies. At exactly 8 a.m., with Monica and her husband presumably at work, Harlan executed his plan. He carefully applied a wheel clamp to each of the 8 tires on the 2 vehicles, locking them tight. The yellow clamps screamed violation. Then, he pulled down his heavy, roll-up garage door. He drilled 2 new holes through the door's steel track and the corresponding fixed frame, inserted heavy-duty hasps, and secured them with the massive padlocks. The garage was now a fortified vault. He taped 1 notarized notice to each of the vehicle's windshields, and a third to the front of his garage door. Then, he went inside, made a pot of coffee, and waited. Monica's scream of rage was audible from inside his kitchen. It was around 5:30 p.m. Harlan watched from his window as she first tried to yank a wheel clamp off, then fruitlessly rattled the garage door. Her husband, a perpetually flustered man named Gary, just stood there, holding his briefcase. The pounding on his front door was seismic. Harlan answered, phone in hand, recording video discreetly. You vandalized our property. You've imprisoned our cars." Monica shrieked, her face puce. "Your property is trespassing on my property, Monica," Harlan said calmly. "I've secured it to prevent further unlawful use of my garage. The notice on the windshield explains the retrieval process. Retrieval process? I'll have you arrested. I'll sue you into the ground. Open this door right now. I can't do that. You see, I'm concerned about liability. If I were to open the door and your illegally parked vehicle somehow rolled out and caused damage, I could be held responsible. This is for everyone's safety. Gary finally spoke. Harlan, come on, this is ridiculous. Just take the locks off. We'll move them. The fee for unauthorized parking is $200 per vehicle, per day, starting now. Cash or certified check. Once paid, I'll schedule a time for the sheriff to be present as a neutral observer during the release, to ensure no false claims of damage are made. The sheriff? Monica exploded. I'm calling the sheriff on you. Please do, Harlan said, and gently closed the door. 20 minutes later, a Oakland County Sheriff's cruiser pulled up. Deputy Miller, a weary-looking veteran, got out. Monica descended upon him in a torrent of accusation: criminal mischief, theft, unlawful imprisonment of automobiles. Deputy Miller listened, then walked to Harlan's door. Harlan stepped out, handed him a folder containing copies of his deed, the notarized notice, and photos of the cars in his garage from the day before, with timestamps. Deputy, these vehicles are trespassing on my private, enclosed property, Harlan explained. I have not consented to their presence. I have secured them to end the trespass and to protect myself from liability. I've provided formal notice to the owners. This is a civil matter of unlawful use and trespass to chattels. I'd like to file a formal report for that, please. Deputy Miller read the notice, looked at the photos, and walked over to the garage. He saw the industrial locks, the bright yellow clamps clearly visible under the door. He rubbed his temple. He'd met Monica Carlisle before. He returned to the sidewalk where the Carlisles stood fuming. Ma'am, this is his property. Your vehicles are inside his garage without permission. That's trespassing. But the HOA rules say, Monica began. The HOA isn't the law, ma'am, Deputy Miller interrupted. He has the right to secure his property. He's given you notice. He's even offering a way to get them back. This isn't a police matter for us to solve. It's between you two, or you can take it to civil court. He turned to Harlan. Sir, you said you'd release them with a sheriff present. If they pay your fee? To ensure a smooth, documented transition, yes, Deputy. Deputy Miller looked at Monica. That sounds like the most efficient resolution. If you pay him and we schedule a time, I'll come back to observe. Otherwise, you'll need a civil court order. With that, he tipped his hat, got in his cruiser, and left. Monica stood on the sidewalk, utterly deflated. Her system of bylaws and complaints had failed her. The actual law was not on her side. They settled before going to court. Monica's own lawyer told her she'd likely lose and be liable for Harlan's legal fees on top of everything else. Harlan, magnanimous in victory, agreed to a deal. They would pay him $800 for 4 days of storage. He insisted it wasn't a fine, sign a notarized agreement never to park on or block access to his property again, and Monica would withdraw all pending HOA complaints against him. The release was scheduled for a Saturday morning. Deputy Miller returned, as promised. A small crowd of curious neighbors had gathered. Harlan, with a theatrical flair, produced the keys. He unlocked the massive padlocks, cranked open the garage door to reveal the 2 clamped vehicles, then proceeded to remove each wheel clamp. Monica and Gary scurried into their cars without a word and backed out, the eyes of the neighborhood upon them. As the Porsche cleared the door, Harlan called out, cheerfully, remember, Monica. Curb appeal. Better get that big truck garaged. Old Green spent that night in the garage, right where it belonged. And the next week, Harlan installed a beautiful, custom-made security camera that covered his driveway and garage entrance. He mounted it on a beautifully stained post, of course, after submitting and promptly receiving approval from the newly circumspect HOA Architectural Committee.